Thanksgiving 2024, and especially Gifted Day, because some days are better than others. Um, in the style later disclose, and these are one of those days that are better than others. Uh, starting with how the day started, came in, was reacquainted with a compatriot and friend and ally, journeyer, purveyor in the dialogos of reality in its style to certainly describe itself and disclose itself to an agent, speaking on things of the world and more local aspects of speaking and tangents and outlets and dissipation and how tenable an outlet is to another. But singling out and emphasizing the end and towards the resolution of the conversation in its totality, where we're speaking on the more actualized and principled aspect of the world. And in the questions evoked by the recipient was in was to the manner of how will the world regenerate itself, the end of the earth? How does that look like the return of Christ? How does that look like the end of the world, the reset and such? He acknowledges it, which is that he's almost an insane, he's an insanity. He discloses and describes everything about his problematic state, including his unproblematic state, but yet he must go through the daily recapitulations of process to get to this point. And attention span is now extended enough to accompany each recapitulation and generation after generation, and thus it's not continuously had. It's not continuously held as the whole. But towards the end there, and the tug and war that goes on between religion with the debate of exclusive validity and what truly is the common enemy that they all should rally behind as an opposition, and that an enemy is the hindrance prevention of authentic actualization. It's what is sourced, is one alleyway the world is in how it's described. It's really one mode of being, optimal mode of being to claim in for the type of being, where it would be multiple mode of being if there was multiple modes competing for optimization. But it's only the individual against the individual competing for optimization, and that's adopting this mode of authentic actualization. And that's in adopting it, seeing the way broadly we're seeing everything, but everything sees it. So then everything that is claiming to represent a facet of it is seeing it in its own lens, and they have their wrestling and debate going on. Authentic actualization is the only prize to be won in the battle of fine-tuning the organism, his skill of don't mess up other people's good time if you want to maintain your good time. Don't hurt people and take their things. Love your neighbor as yourself. These are all things about man, and these things these are already known in the respect of authentic actualization. There's no manner to carry this out without. This is re-acknowledging that one is in existence, and there's certain maturity that goes along with it, and it's the maturity that eats in delay of gratification or loving your neighbor as yourself. It is singularly understanding the world in the appropriate way of being in it is the case. That's what lies in the world. It's an interesting point continuing in such. In speaking of the subterfuge of religion and how it was a stepping stone to another style of thinking of things, another means to sink into the context, and that context is the world in the appropriate way of being into it. And that context is the acknowledgement of what reality is, and that acknowledgement should be response in a better relationship with it. In a better or more fitted relationship with it. Fittedness is becoming of the agent in the manner, by the manner in which is fitted to the agent by the manner in which they exert their agency. How you exert your agency, to what activities, higher consciousness activity to lower consciousness activity that respond to his polycrisis. As he increases his authentic actualization, he will decrease his polycrisis. He will change the manner in which he exerts his agency. By exerting his agency different in this manner, he can alleviate and ameliorate this system's intrinsic problems. poverty, the ones that are high skilled, the ones that do not relate. So addiction in a case will be separate from poverty, where poverty is a case where systemization can solve this problem. Self-running systemization can run this problem. There's enough means by the brilliance and ingenuity of the world. There are more than enough means to ameliorate these problems of mass education and poverty and well-being in all these cases. There are enough ingenuity, systematic society engineering capabilities to be able to solve these problems permanently and prolongedly. But the goal is not prioritized. It's constantly not prioritized. It starts, but it begins in its case not from the top down, from the bottom, where it's individual responsibility towards collective evolution by movement and by organization. Organizing, great, and then movement, and then actual change, and that's affecting the course of history. And that would change how the generations before lived into the world. Man has been pushed from the past by the momentum of his intergenerational horizontal transmission. He's been pushed by this. He has a relation to others, but he's been pushed from the past by this momentum, and he's been propelled and decided his future. He hasn't intentionally designed a future. He had no hand in designing the presence that he has now in the collective whole. The collective whole, the presence that it has, is made by the constructions of concerted actions. Remember, the construction of concerted action of humans. It's human activity on a mass scale that produces most of the Anthropocene in the world. That is already available. Great. There's already STEM and the weird and Western industrialized democratic. Yes, there's already, and there is the science, technology, and engineering and math. Oh, well, that is one place to locate it in the entirety of the pocket. Oh, well, there's one place to locate it, then duplicate it and promulgate it across the world. What is intrinsic in here that gives others hegemony over another? Or it's the lack of authenticalization. One relation is the discrepancy that comes in with the genetic lottery and how others are more aptitude to the environment and making more of less, and others are not. They're not so. They have a different attention to the world. But it's already the case, the constant case across the board of authentic actualization. He might be X, he might be Y, but he hasn't been authentically actualized. And that's his central root. In seeking that itself, all other things will follow. He will become more in tune to how he can arrange his world so that he's as comfortable as his neighbor. This information is ubiquitous and is rampant and is available. Only if one will first have some indication that the system requires reconsideration. Your present stance, the state requires reconsideration and reevaluation in what it means to hold oneself to a society, to a population, to a nation. He does not need better leaders. He doesn't need leaders at all. He can operate quite fine with a decentralized system. Once again, an organizing system is made of these things, components and parts that have a particular function and then have an effect over those who they govern. In this case, they're electronic. It can be algorithmic, where it's only in dealing with the regulations on that end, on that side of the thing, and man continues as he can. It's interspersed with this. There are much room for improvements, and there are different ways to attend to the world, and seeking this goal and turning a blind eye to the insanity, infantilization that goes on when one accepts to be in the condition that he is, that he's not a cosmopolitan. He does not think of the globe as an entirety, but yet he separates it into fragments. He doesn't yet open up the earth and treat it as a singular, as a singular milieu, but yet still he thinks about it in the way that he thinks about it. These are all things that are yet to come. These are all things that are in transit. They're on board. There are epiphanies. Epiphanies take time. They take serious times. They're not for cheap. They're not anything else that they're different from most other things that they're thought of. Epiphanies. They come out without plan. They are without plan. Crazily, one usually does not remember the moment just prior to when the epiphany occurs. They usually lose that field of information. It becomes irrelevant in comparison to the present epiphany now, but that entirety is part of the context. He loses source with the context. He loses concentrate. He loses awareness. In other words, usually in athletic terminology, it describes as awareness or situational awareness, and then that comes in with context. When one begins to daydream, they almost immediately lose their situational awareness because they borrow from each other. They do not happen simultaneously, or not in the fullness. The context of the world, man actualizing himself, religion getting behind on the common goal, and the world making this move, reforming the A's of the present, the A's of the earth, the A's of the world, and then it's transforming that into the art of heaven, into the art of this state, populated by authentically actualized rational beings. In itself, it can fathom what are the implications of this lifestyle, this mode of operation, when it's actually take a foot and becomes present in the world, at least localized in some space. There's talk here and there of communes and gatherings. It's a great start and stepping stones towards it taking over the globe, but it is a singular thing of gaining it in this manner, so that the true fullness of the creation of the dominion that one has, this form of action, how insane the miracle is, and that the miracle is constant, and the gift is to be turned on to the miracle. And what is the opposite of the gift would be it is not recognized to be such, and it's thought of as mundane, it's thought of as suffering, it's thought of as hectic, and then that's the unlucky. But lucky is to see the harvest is much, but the laborers are few. It's here and it's there and it's in different tongues, speaking in different places from different direction. There might even at times it might even at times speak out accidentally, slip-ups, only to help themselves just describe and see themselves for what they are. A strange thing it is to be among the core characters and to be present and live and up and ready to see it. A momentous joy through the developmental stages and milestones of life to the point where acknowledgement happens, versus the juvenile volatility of youth carry on to the obliviousness of adolescence, in that distinction, towards the point where such things take credence, and one now have other times where they have been associated with it from this background. Well, what else to be continuously said about it? What else to be continuously said about the world that haven't been disclosed in the paper, in the model, or in other times, or to be coming later, and to come at times when they are available?